Welcome back. Today, we're going to put on our detective hats. We're treating a ransomware investigation just like a digital crime scene, following the clues that attackers leave behind. So, let's dive right in.
Okay, so picture this. The worst has happened. Your systems are totally locked, there's a ransom note blinking on the screen. It feels like pure chaos. But here's the thing. Just like any crime, there's always a trail of evidence. The real question is, how do you solve it? How do you find those clues and piece the whole story together?
Well, to solve this digital mystery, we start with a classic forensics idea, Locard's exchange principle. The concept is actually really simple. Attackers bring their tools into the crime scene, and they leave with your data. Every contact leaves a trace, and both of those actions create evidence for us to find.
Now, our crime scene isn't some dusty room with yellow tape. It's a computer, a server, an entire network. But the principle is exactly the same. The attack leaves behind a trail of digital clues, what we call artifacts, scattered all over the place.
So the goal for our digital detectives is pretty straightforward. Find those artifacts. It's all about hunting for hidden files, tracing the attacker's every move, and sometimes even recovering deleted data to build a complete, step-by-step picture of exactly what went down.
But here's the first big challenge. Some of this digital evidence is incredibly fragile. I mean, it can literally vanish in an instant. That's why the absolute first step is always to capture it before it's gone for good.
You see, we're dealing with two main types of evidence. On one hand, you have non-volatile data. That's the stuff on your hard drive, your files and folders. It sticks around even if you reboot the machine. But then, you have volatile data. This stuff lives in the computer's active memory, the RAM. Think of it like an eyewitness's memory. It's unbelievably valuable, but as soon as you cut the power, poof, it's gone forever.
So to preserve this super fragile evidence, investigators perform what's called a memory dump. They use a special tool to take a complete snapshot of the computer's live RAM and save it to a file. It's basically like freezing the crime scene in that exact moment in time.
Once that memory is safely captured, they can start picking it apart. Tools like volatility let them sift through that snapshot and see exactly what programs were running and what network connections were active during the attack. It's almost like getting a direct look at what the attacker was seeing on their screen.
All right, so with that fleeting evidence in the bag, it's time to move on. Now we get to dust the file system for the attacker's digital fingerprints. One of the most critical pieces of evidence is something called the master file table, or MFT for short. Just think of it as the index for every single file on the hard drive. It knows every file's name, its location, its timestamps, everything. But as you can see here, in its raw form, it's basically unreadable.
And this is where the magic happens. Forensic tools take that cryptic, messy data and completely transform it into a clean, searchable timeline. All of a sudden, investigators have this perfect chronological history of every single file the attacker touched, created, or even just looked at. It's a game changer. And the MFT isn't the only fingerprint they leave behind. Not even close. You've got prefetch files, which are kind of like the computer's short-term memory for applications. They tell us what programs the attacker recently ran. You've got LNK files, which are just shortcuts, showing us exactly which files they opened. And then there are jump lists, which track other recent activity. Each one is a tiny but vital clue.
And you know, sometimes a single one of these little clues can just blow the case wide open. Here, we see an investigator analyzing one of those LNK files. It might just look like a jumble of text and timestamps, but hidden inside is a critical piece of the puzzle. And bam! There it is, the aha moment. This LNK file proves the attacker ran a tool to steal passwords right out of a core Windows process called LSASS. That's the part of the system that handles security and passwords. In detective terms, this is the smoking gun. We now know for sure they were stealing credentials to dig deeper into the network. Okay, so we've got evidence of what files they touched and what programs they ran. Now it's time to follow the paper trail, the system's own logs, which act like a super detailed ledger of everything that happened. And this paper trail isn't just in one place, it's all over. Investigators have to pull data from the Windows registry, comb through the official Windows event logs, and even check simple things like web browser history. They'll also look at network logs from firewalls and VPNs to figure out how the heck the attacker got in the first place. Windows event logs are an absolute goldmine. See, every significant action gets its own unique event ID.
For instance, ID 4624 means a successful login. Okay, maybe normal. But ID 4720, that means a brand new user account was created, a classic attacker move. And ID 7045 tells us a new service was installed on the machine, which could be the ransomware itself.
And hey, you can't forget the basics. Check this out. The web browser history can show the attacker visiting a cloud storage site to upload all the data they stole. That's the exfiltration right there. Or it might show them downloading their hacking tools. It's so simple, but it can be such a powerful clue.
All right, now for the final act. Our detective has collected all the clues, the fleeting memory data, the digital fingerprints, and that detailed paper trail. It's finally time to put all the pieces of the puzzle together and tell the complete story of the crime.
And this is how it all connects. You can see it laid out perfectly. First, the VPN logs show how they got in. Next, a prefetch file proves they ran their malicious tool. Then, that crucial LNK file confirms they stole passwords. The browser history shows them shipping stolen data out to the cloud. And finally, event log 7045 shows they installed a backdoor so they could get back in later. Each artifact tells one part of the story.
By weaving all these different threads together from all those different sources, investigators can finally answer the big questions: the who, what, when, and how of the attack. The mystery is solved.
But here's the thing. Solving the crime is only half the battle. By piecing together this trail of digital breadcrumbs, we don't just learn what happened, we learn how the attackers operate, their specific playbook. And that is crucial intelligence for building stronger defenses next time. Attackers might think they're ghosts in the machine, but every move they make leaves a trace. So the real question isn't just about finding those traces to solve the last attack, but finding them fast enough to stop the next one.